All right. Welcome back for Encounter 4. The presentation's already been uploaded. This week we're going to start looking at gender and number, the definite article, and the conjunctive vav. Before we get started, I put here a slide. In case you have any questions, we can use it to write things down to go over. So any questions before we get started, maybe from your reading, from anything you did this week?
As we get into the reading, I've got questions.
Okay.
Maybe it'd be appropriate to wait until we get to that passage.
All right. The passage that I put together, that I copied onto the presentation for us to read is kind of short, taken from the workbook, but we'll get to that later. Anything we can tackle before we get started? Because I'm ready to. We have a lot of things to cover tonight.
Just as you go along, I need some clarification on when the Shawat is silent at the beginning of some of the words. It's more clear to me.
All right. Just know that in the first syllable of any word, Shva is supposed to be vocal. It's not supposed to be silent in the first syllable of any word.
Yeah, this would be particularly when there's a conjunction or the vav, and then going into a word.
Mm-hmm. Can you think of an example, perhaps?
The sekum.
What's that?
At the very ending of verse 12.
Verse 12. Let me pull it up.
It's the, and then Sechem. Sehem. So he was in Sehem.
Oh, Shechem. Okay, I see. So the word is Shechem. Shechem is the name of the place. Mouse. Okay, this is Shechem. Well, you normally call it Shechem in English, I think, but it's Shechem. Whenever you put the bet in front of it, the bet prefix it functions kind of like the vav. That is, it wants to be shva, but you can't have two shvas together at the beginning of a word.
Right.
So instead, the first one just becomes pirik. So it's bishchem. Bishchem means in Shechem.
So that bish is like a closed syllable then.
One second.
Or is this the medial schwa you were talking about?
Yeah, it's like medial because it's supposed to be opening this syllable naturally because it's Shechem, that's the name of the city, and it's also semi-functioning to close this syllable.
Okay.
Yep. We're going to run into it in a lot of different places. The medial shva. Right, so we'll go ahead and start. Slide number 1. Our purpose here is to understand that roots in Hebrew basically have 3 letters. They're triliteral roots, almost all the time. Sometimes when it looks like 2, it's actually 3. Letters drop out. And sometimes you get a 4-letter root in Hebrew, but not too often. So roots can be written with what's called gershayim. That's this the double quote mark right there. Okay,
basically, what did you call that?
Gershayim. Gershayim.
I was a bit mystified when I saw that as to what it was there for and what it meant.
Mm-hmm. Basically, an apostrophe in Hebrew is called geresh. Geresh. And so 2 of them are called gershayim. Gershayim is the ayim dual ending that we're going to look at in a few minutes. It means 2 gereshes. Gershayim. Okay, or it can be written with a period between each root letter. Okay, this like this. Or it can be written with the square root sign, like in mathematics. I think it's becoming more and more common to write it with the square root sign. Okay, once you have the root, like in this case, shama, shin mem ayin, the root can derive many, many forms. And basically it's just patterns. So shama is he heard. To hear or to obey. He heard, shama. Shema is, you see the different vowel pattern? Shema is a report, and we also use it for hearing or sound. Mishma, hearsay. We can basically use that three-letter root that you can see in each one of these words. Okay, you can see shin, mem, ayin. They're in each of the words, and they can use that root to mean so many different things based on the pattern of vowels that you put inside of it.
The one with the equivalent for report, is that how you would also point the one in Deuteronomy 6:4, like hear, O Israel? Is that the Shema there?
That's an imperative verb. It's actually from this one, to hear or to obey, and it's like this, shema, shma.
Oh, okay.
It's with shva here.
The shema. Okay, got it.
Mm-hmm. So that's an imperative, shma. But you can see the root in each of these forms: shimon, shimea, leshamea, mashmaut, meaning. You see that root in each of the forms. You're going to see basically a lot of our job is to identify roots and the patterns that they're placed in. That's a lot of the job of understanding what's going on. Another example is Aleph Mem Resh. We can see that it's called a root. Aleph Mem Resh gives us amal, say or said. He'emir, to cause someone to say. Not so common in modern Hebrew, but it's in the Bible. Opinion, omer, ne'emar, something was said, ne'emar. Ma'amal in modern Hebrew means an article that you read. In the Bible it's used to mean a command. You've got imra. Imra could be an opinion or a saying, something that is said. Okay. Next we see another root. No, we don't. We go on to the next part. So with these triliteral roots, masculine nouns and adjectives do not take any endings, okay? It could have some kind of prefix or suffix, but it's not going to have like an ending that indicates gender or number in the singular. So kelev is from the root kaf lamed bet. Notice there's no ending on that. There's nothing to add to it to make it masculine. Kelev. The root here is shamal. Okay, shamal. And there's a prefix mem, mishmar. Mishmar is a guard or a protection that's set over something. Mostly guard like people. So the plural for masculine nouns adds im. I'm sure you read about this in the lesson, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so kelev, when you add the plural, it becomes klavim. Klavim. And mishmar, with the plural, becomes mishmarim. Okay, that's basically how it works. It adds im, and then you have the plural for masculine most of the time. Adjectives always. Nouns, I would say 70%. Some in about 30% of words, the gender of the endings is kind of switched around. So, for example, the word malon. Malon means inn or hotel. The plural is melonot, but it's masculine. So sometimes that ot ending that is normally feminine will appear on masculine words. It's easier to show the word av. Av means father. Okay. The plural is avot. Avot. And there's no real reason why it's ot and not im, but that's just how it is. So about 30% of the standard vocabulary stock has what we would say are switched endings. Switched meaning the ending looks feminine for a masculine word or masculine for a feminine word. Okay? We go on?
Sounds good.
Yeah, no questions here?
Nope.
All right. So next is feminine. The normal ending for feminine is a, okay, or some kind of ending with tav. So kelev is a dog and kalba is a female dog. Okay. We had before mishmar, a guard, and here we have mishmeret. Mishmeret or mishmara is a watch, like a watch of the night. And in modern Hebrew, it's used to refer to shifts that you work at work in your job. Mishmeret. The plural of kalba is klavot. Klavot. Most Israelis will say kalbot, but that's a mistake. It's klavot. Klavot means dogs, female dogs. And the plural of mishmeret is mishmarot. So that ot ending is the normal feminine ending for plural. The normal feminine ending for singular is a or a tav, and the plural is ot. Okay? There is a list of words that are feminine, like kos. Kos means cup. It's feminine, and it doesn't have an ending. It's not a or et or anything like that. There's a list of words that are feminine and have no gender marker in the present. We'll get to those eventually. We're just learning basic principles for marking masculine and feminine right now. Masculine, feminine, singular, and plural. All right. So this is another quirk of Hebrew that we have a dual form. You read about this in the book, I assume? The dual is ayim. I don't think they went very deep into it, but I wanted to give some examples. The ayim ending is used for parts of the body that come in pairs, like arms, eyes, ears, legs, eyelashes, nostrils, and several other pieces. It's for units of time, 2 days, 2 years, 2 months, and for count numbers like 200 and 2000. So the examples are at the bottom. Yad is hand, and yadayim is hands. Ayn is eye, and einayim, eyes. So if regel is foot, then raglayim are feet. Just be aware that this ayim ending, it's like this, with the accent here. Ayim means two. It means two of something. So you have singular, plural, and dual. What's that?
Jason, I have a vague recollection that the word for Egypt mysteriously is dual. Is that correct?
Yes. Egypt and Jerusalem.
Oh, both. Okay.
Jerusalem is Yerushalayim, which has a dual ending. The word water. Water is always dual, mayim. Mayim means water. And Egypt is Mitzrayim, also with that ayim ending. Okay? So if yom is day, yomayim is 2 days. Chodesh is month, chodshayim, 2 months. Me'ah, 100, me'ah, Matayim, 200. Elef, 1,000. Alpayim, 2,000. Okay, this is just to review what's in the book. Basically, that ayim ending is for dual. Okay? It's on words like these. It doesn't go much further than this. It's not like you would say 2 children is yaldayim. Like, we don't have that word. You don't count everything as 2. You wouldn't say 2 houses is batayim. These things don't exist. But for time and for body parts and for these count numbers, then the dual comes into play. Okay? Notice the chodshayim has that kamatz katan. So chodshayim from chodesh. Chodesh is like this, and chodshayim with the kamatz katan. All right. All right. So now we're getting into the definite article. This had more examples in the book, and the workbook had several examples of this. You needed to add the article to the words. Did you get to that part of the workbook?
I think I did.
It was pages, let's look at it. Exercise 4A.
Yes.
We need to add the article. So if we have melech, there's ha-melech, the king. Should we look at these exercises? Why is Ward muted? Ward, are you here? Giovanni, you're there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm sorry, but I really have a lot of my on my plate this week, so I haven't been able to go into the exercises. But I'll get to it probably this weekend.
Okay.
But but I've read the entire chapter.
Okay, so the material doesn't seem completely new to you.
Yes.
Okay.
Not really.
All right. Let's go to a whiteboard, and we'll come back to this in a second. We've got a whiteboard here. If we have, for example, the word king, the word is melech. You memorized your vocabulary from the beginning of the workbook? Yeah? Vocabulary is very important because if you don't have words, you don't have anything to play with. So we need to work on the Quizlet and have the vocabulary every week because it's important.
Yep, I'll work on it. Yep.
All right, cool. So when you add the article is the letter hey with patach and dagesh in the next letter. Whatever the next letter is, it has dagesh. Okay? This is the shape of the definite article, the word the. This is king, melech, and this, when you add it to it, becomes the king, and it's attached. Okay, so let's look at how that would work. We have melech, king. We put the hey in front of it, and we add patach and dagesh. And we have ha-melech.
Ha-melech.
Ha-melech means the king. This is how we know that it's definite. Ha-melech.
You would have there for solidification. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
Ha-melech. Okay.
So it's essentially H-A-M-M-E-L-E. Well, that should not be accented, sorry. And Cha. Ham-melech. Ham-melech. The dagesh doubles. Okay, so if we have the word Mashiach, can you erase that, please? You have the word Mashiach. You know this word? Messiah. Mashiach. Okay, if we add hey, Ham-Mashiach. Ham-Mashiach, the Messiah.
Yep.
Okay. But what if we have one of those letters that refuses, like the word rosh, refuses to receive the dagesh? We said that the gutturals, aleph, hey, chet, ayin, do not receive dagesh, and the letter resh.
Resh.
Okay, so if we want to, this word means rosh, head. We want to add the article. Okay. Resh takes that dagesh and it says, no, I don't like it. I don't want it. Okay, so it gets rid of it. It says no and it's gone. But you can't just leave it like this because now we have the syllables divided. And this one is accented. And this one is unaccented. And we said unaccented has to have a long vowel.
Yep.
So that vowel lengthens.
Compensatory lengthening?
Yeah, this is compensatory lengthening. It lengthens to compensate for the loss of that extra letter. Because dagesh represents a doubled letter.
Yep.
And so that letter drops out, the extra letter, the doubling, and this vowel becomes long. Ha-rosh. Ha-rosh means the head. The head. Okay, so another example like that one would be the word for people, anashim, anashim, when we want to say the people. Ward, would you like to add the article to this word to make it the people?
Sure. And we would have to... There.
Yep. Okay, so why is it kamatz?
Because the aleph won't take a dagesh.
Mm-hmm. The aleph refuses the dagesh and it lengthens to compensate, right? Excellent.
Yeah, that was a good explanation you gave there about the doubling of this letter.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got it that time.
Oh, good. Good. So let's do a couple more examples from the book. Can you erase what you've got up there, please? Let's say the word sadeh. Sadeh means field. Sadeh. Okay, Giovanni, would you go ahead and add the article to that? That's perfection. You want to explain it to us?
So since the scene can actually take the guess, then we will go with the standard article. So that's the hey with short patah, and then the guess for. So that's gonna be there. So that's hasadeh.
Hasadeh, beautiful. Okay. Now we talked about the article, the gutturals aleph, hey, chet, ayin. Okay. We're going to see that hey and chet actually do something different. They have what is called virtual doubling. Virtual meaning it's not real, but they behave as if it were. So let's say eichal. Eichal means temple or palace in the Bible. Modern Hebrew palace is armon, but this in the Bible this is palace. What's going to happen is it's going to have the hey and the patach. It wants to have the dagesh, but the hey here says no, we don't like dagesh. Gets rid of it, and this letter is not doubled, and that vowel is not lengthened. It's as if something were there closing the syllable, but nothing is. It's virtually doubled. The hey here is virtually doubled. It's doubled without dagesh. Okay, makes sense?
I'm curious about the phonological reasons why that's the case and not.
Well, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't just become long. Like, it would make sense for it just to become long like the other gutturals. But it doesn't. Yeah. So, chodesh. Chodesh means month. Okay, when we add the hey to it, who's left for two? Who hasn't done one? Sorry, John?
Here, I'll do it.
Yep. And so
very
we
good
don't.
Handwriting.
Yeah, we don't need that negation there. It just drops out and leaves it exactly like it is. So ha chodesh. That's really good. We just have to cover one more type, if you could clear that. And that is gutturals. The book writes it like a G that have kamats in an unaccented initial syllable. I don't think the book spells that out, but it's what it needs to be. It needs to be an unaccented initial syllable. That is the first syllable of the word. So let's look at the word arim. Arim means cities. It's the plural of ir. Ir means city. Arim is cities. When we put a hey in front of that, the first thing we know is that the dagesh says, no, I don't think so. So it drops the dagesh. We would expect it to go, because that's compensatory lengthening. But in actual effect, whenever the accent is over here, they don't want this and this to have the same vowel. Ha-arim. Ha-arim. So instead, they change it to he. He-arim. He-arim means the cities. Okay, the cities is he-arim. Normally in the Bible it will write it with meteg here because it's a short syllable and it's basically telling us that it's holding its own. He-arim. The same thing with mountains. A mountain is har. The plural is harim. When we add the article, what will we put?
Segol.
Segol, yeah. So it's he-harim. He-harim, the mountains. There's a verse in Psalms, I will lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does my help come from? It comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. He says, Esa enai el he-harim. I will lift up my eyes to the mountains. Esa enai el he-harim. He-harim is how it's broken. He-harim. I will lift up my eyes to the hills. Where does where will my help come from? Okay, let's see. If we have halom, let's do another round. Giovanni, could you start us off with this one? What I mean is add the article.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, this word appears a lot in our story. The beginning of the Joseph story is about him having several dreams. And they say that Joseph is a dreamer of dreams. The word is halom. Halom means dream. And to dream, the past tense, halam. Halam, he dreamt. We're missing something there. We're missing, I don't know if it's maybe on your screen, but we don't have this We don't have this this extra mark on yours. You see that extra mark?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
It's the one that I put it in. There.
All right. This letter is chet, has the virtual doubling VD. Not VD. That sounds bad. Sorry. It has virtual doubling. Okay, so instead of the compensatory lengthening, right, it's just going to be patach.
Yep.
Okay, ha-chalom means the dream. The dream. Okay, next, let's go with the word esev. Can you delete that? Esev. Esev is like an herb or a weed or something. It's a wild plant. Esev. Lord, do you want to go for that one?
I can make my mouse work.
Sorry for the noises coming from you. You guys caught me at a time whenever my belly was empty. I'm drinking coffee and stuffing
I'm
myself
going
a little
for
bit.
compensatory lengthening here.
Compensatory lengthening, yes. I agree. Ha-esev. Ha-esev, the grass. It's not grass, it's like herb. You know, asbei tibul, herbs. Yeah. So it says grass in the book, but grass is deshe. Grass is deshe. But this tells us it means grass. It means herb. Esev. Okay, the next word is, maybe I'll just put it here and let John tell me what it is. Maybe he knows. Think of John the Baptist. Where did John the Baptist preach?
In the desert.
Yes. So this is desert or wilderness. Fantastic, Hamidbar. Okay, great. I think we've covered where we were. Let's go back into the other page. So we've got shalom with the dagesh, ha-shalom. We have adon that rejects the dagesh and has compensatory lengthening, ha-adon. Ha-adon, the master. This is clear as water, isn't it? Not clear as mud, but clear as water.
It is.
Good. So I had a whiteboard so we could practice with it, but we're going to move on to the this. This is the same thing we just talked about, where this one has a virtual doubling, and if it has kamatz and it's unaccented, then instead of virtual doubling, it has he. It becomes he. But notice it doesn't happen with aleph. If aleph has that unaccented kamatz, it is still There's virtual. It's a compensatory lengthening. It's regular. So I put here except aleph. I don't think that that's in the book, but that's true. Aleph doesn't do this. It's only the other gutturals. Chet, he, and ayin. Okay, aleph is different. I sent this presentation to you, so you'll be able to refer back to it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I sent it to the Facebook group. Okay, so the letter vav as a conjunction takes a couple of different forms. The normal one is ve. Okay, and it's going to be with regular letters. You know, we've got bet, mem, and pei, and any letter that has shuvah will come u. It will take u instead of ve. So let's look at this. Can we read these ones? Who wants to be the first to read? Because today we're starting reading, so it's that's where we're going.
I'll go.
Okay, please do. I want you to read this phrase here.
Yeah, you have ahava, De desi Desina.
Yep. Ve-sin-a. Sin-a is
Desina.
hate. So hate, love, and hate. So this word means and. Okay? We're starting to notice already that Hebrew does some weird things, and that with prepositions, with definite articles, not prepositions, it will be prepositions, but in this case conjunctions. Conjunctions, definite articles, they just smush them onto the front of the word. Okay? So that's what causes all the weirdness. With bet, mem, and pay, that's bet, mem, and pay, we have u. Also, before a word that has shva in the beginning. Okay? So if we have Shmuel, that's how you make cursive. Shmuel. I hate this pen, doesn't pick up everything I write. Shmuel. When you say and Shmuel, the vav is u, because of this. Yeah? U Shmuel means and Shmuel. Shmuel is Samuel. So far, so good? All right, so John, would you read this line for us?
Uvavi.
This has yit, vayit.
Vait.
What does that word mean? You recognize that word?
And house.
House, bait. Bait is house, bait. So this is with and, it's uvait. 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 Okay?
Umakom.
Umakom.
Vim.
Uchtavim. Chtavim are writings, like the writings of Plato, Kitve Platon. So Uchtavim. Gotta remember that. Soft K is ch, not k. Chtavim. Uchtavim. Yeah, perfect. All right, and if we have one of the composite shvas, one of the chataf patach, chataf segol, chataf kamatz, it becomes just like that sound. So it's a, e, o. Okay, so the vav can look like this. So I think, who's next? Ward, are you left over?
That'd be me.
All right, so you want to tackle that one.
Va'ani. Ve'edom.
Ve'edom,
Va'hali.
This is not this is o.
V'holi.
Voholi.
How would I know that?
Because this one, the chataf, is always o. This is o.
Okay,
that's the reduced form of o. Okay, so anytime that you have o here in like this one, that one is also going to be o. If you have e here, that one is also e. A.
So the o-holi.
Voholi.
Voholi.
All right. So another example of that is the word for noon. This is a dual form. Okay, this is obviously O, and that influences the sound of this one. So it's so ho ra'im. So ho ra'im. So ho ra'im means noon. The noontime of the day. So ra'im. Okay, so those two together are O. A. We saw already the name Jacob. Kov. Where here we have this one, and here we have this one. Yaakov. Yeah? All right, next. We're going to look at special instances of exceptions to this. We just said whenever we have this one, we add vav, it becomes the same. Ve'elohim. Ve'elohim. That doesn't happen with this word. Instead, we see ve'elohim. Ve'elohim means and God. Ve'elohim. Make sense? This was in your book. I hope you remember.
Yes, I saw it. Yep.
Okay. This one we would expect Va'adonai, Va'adonai, but what we expect is thwarted, and we get Va'adonai. Notice I've left the cholam off of each of these forms. That's intentional. What I'm doing is following the convention of the Aleppo Codex. The Aleppo Codex does not have the cholam on the word Adonai. Okay? Trying to erase the screen, it's not going. You're going to ask a question?
Is it the Aleppo, is it consistently doesn't use the holum?
97%. I have the statistics. I have the data file if you want. I investigated it myself.
Yeah, you sent it to me a few months ago. I think, if I remember.
So there was a reason that I investigated it, because we find this one in the Aleppo Codex without cholam, and people were trying to make an issue of the lack of cholam on this word, on the name of God. And so when you understand that the word Adonai does not bear cholam, if you copy the vowels directly onto the name Yud He Vav He, then you don't have cholam. The cholam is missing because it doesn't exist on the word Adonai. That's the explanation why it's missing. Anyway, so the vowels are copied directly onto the name. So where we would expect this name to be pointed this way, Vihova, if it were pronounced that way, we actually have the patach. And the patach is here not because it has anything to do with the name, but because it comes from Vadonai. The patach here goes down to the name. That's where it is. So we have the word Yehuda. Yehuda means Judah. When we add Ve Yehuda, we get two shvas together. The first one will simplify to chirik because we don't have two vocal shvas together. The first one simplifies. And the yod actually quiesces. It becomes a vowel letter. So instead of Ve Yehuda, we get Vihuda, Vihuda. Vihuda means and Judah. So how are we on this slide? That I can't erase my ink on.
So when it says the vowel quiesces, that means it just, or yod quiesces, it means it becomes a vowel.
It means it disappears. Its value disappears. Quiesce means to become silent.
Like the aleph.
Yeah, it happens all the time with aleph. So in Velohim, the aleph has no value at all. It's disappeared. It's quiescent aleph, meaning it doesn't hold its own vowel. It has no consonantal use. All right, suddenly it's not letting me do anything with the screen. Let's see if it'll let me go to the next slide. No. I'm going to try to get rid of this presentation real quick. And then bring it back up and see what happens. Well, it's not letting me control anything. I'm going to have to close for a minute and come back in, okay?
Okay.
All right, so I'm closing down the encounter. Just join me in a second. Hmm. Okay, I'm going to try Chrome. Hmm. Okay, so we're back. The recording is back on. We've got Ward back. We've got Giovanni back. I'm sorry about the mess up, but I think we're good to go. Let's see. I can close Facebook now. All right. So we're back. This is the page we were looking at. Welcome back, everybody. We just talked about how Judah, for example, Ve Yehuda becomes Vihuda, and that if Yud He Vav He were supposed to be pronounced Yehovah, we would also expect it to become Vihovah. That would be the expected form. What we actually have is Vadonai, taken from here, Vadonai. The vowels are transferred over. Okay, so that means that the Masoretes intended us to read the name Adonai instead of Yud He Vav He, and that the vowels that are on the word don't really belong to it. But everybody pronounces it. It's tradition in English to say Jehovah, so I guess it's acceptable. Here we go. Next, we want to look at the proper pointing of the Vav conjunction on different word types. So I'll get us started by saying that this one that we already talked about, Adonai. Sorry, I need to put my pen on. I'll choose a different color this time and make it like that. We've already talked about this word here. What we're going to have is patach, and this one disappears. So it's Vadonai. Okay, so let's start at the top. Giovanni, if you want to tell us how this one would be pointed or pronounced.
Sorry.
We're starting at the top. You would start theoretically by putting the shva, right? And after you have the shva, then you would see that there are problems here. Okay, so what happens to resolve those problems?
So you cannot have two shvas. So
So what happens with the first Sheva if you have two in a row? What normally happens?
It's gonna be.
The first one will become chirik. Okay, but when you have E like this, it's already a vowel. There's no need for the shva, so it disappears.
To remove it. Yeah, so it's Behuda.
Yep, Vihuda. Vihuda means and
Vihuda.
Judah.
And Judah.
Mm-hmm.
Vihuda.
Yep. So John, will you tackle the next one? It's very similar in nature. John, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm thinking my brain's gone blank.
Well, start like you did. Start with two with the shva, right?
So if it's the same as the previous one, that'll turn into a vowel, and we'll get rid of that.
Yep. So what do you think this means?
Jerusalem.
Yeah. So it's and Jerusalem. Jerusalem. And Jerusalem.
There's not really a need to remove the shava because it's not vocalized anyway, right?
Right, but it won't be there. It won't be there.
So we have to remove it.
Yeah, it won't appear in the text of the Bible.
Okay.
Israelis will say ve Yerushalayim, they say that, but in the Bible it's V'Yerushalayim. V'Yerushalayim. בתנ"ך זה V'Yerushalayim. Okay, צריך להיות כך. So the next one is the same type. Ward, will you tackle it? First, before that, John, go ahead and pronounce this one.
The Jerusalem.
V'Yerushalayim. V'Yerushalayim. This is special in the Bible. For some reason, the ending of this word, we write it differently. I'll show you how we write it.
Oh, that's the dual?
Yeah. We write today Yerushalayim.
So does the dual, often it's got an accent?
Right. In this case, this is basically one syllable, this one. It's not going well there. Hold on. Let me turn that into a square. This one is basically one syllable, and that is a diphthong. Ai. But we write it with the yod nowadays. V'Yerushalayim. And it appears a few times like that in the Bible too. But not too many times.
Is that chirik right there, is it really a vowel, or is that like the, in Ruach, like to just ease the pronunciation, or is it like a whole vowel?
It is a vowel. It is a vowel on its own.
It is a vowel.
Okay. I'll tell you what happened according to theory, and that is that originally the end of the word was M, Yerushalem, and that this is actually how it appears in Aramaic. In Aramaic, it's Yerushalem. But they wanted to have that Aim ending on there because it's how they pronounced the word at a later stage. So they just went through and added A and E. And then you're supposed to read it as if there's a yod there. So this would be an instance of what is called Ktiv Keri Perpetuum. Perpetuum means like perpetual, always. Ktiv, oh wait, hold on. Ktiv, these are Aramaic words, Ktiv Keri. This means written read. It's an instance of things that's written one way, ktiv, and read a different way, kri. So even though it's written with no yod, we read it as if it has yod. Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim. So with the vav, it's Virushalayim.
Jerusalem. Okay.
All right, so now, I think we're on Ward, you're on this one. Yep.
So Yehoav?
Yehoav. Yehoav is the Joab in the Bible. Yehoav became later on Yoav. Yoav is Yehoav. It's the same name. It means Yahweh, Father. Or Yehovah, Father. Okay, the next one. Giovanni, I think you're next.
Yep. So I would have that. The standard. So Veshalom.
Veshalom. There's nothing there to make it change. Okay. John, can you handle this one? That's a big one.
This should become a segol.
It should become segol. Why?
With the reduced vowels, the Bob takes whatever the...
Exactly. It takes the shortened form. But with the word God and the Lord, this actually changes, right?
Yes. So we got Elohim there. Elohe.
This is the word for God. It's like Elohim.
Just the sort singular for God.
It's not singular. It's construct, but it's okay. You don't know construct. It means gods of the gods. It means the God of gods. You know, like King of Kings, God of gods, Lord of lords. What happens with this one is that lengthens and becomes tzere. So this drops out, and this becomes long. Make sense? Velohe ha-Elohim, and the God of gods.
Oh, that's because this is really relating to that word?
Yeah, Elohim. It's relating to this word. This word is Elohim. This is Elohim, and that is Elohim. They're the same word. And with Adonai and Elohim, the initial vowels combine. There's another one. There's the word emor. Emor means say. Emor. And it's like this. And when you add a prefix onto it, it should be le'emor. Le'emor. But all of these combine and it's le'mor, just like velohim. This means to say. Le'mor means to say. But it's used to introduce speech. And Moses spoke unto the Lord, saying, le'mor. Le'mor is that word saying. So the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying. Okay, where do you want to take that one? Remember, we're missing that cholam, and it's just fine. Yes, fantastic. The patach, and this all disappears. How do you read it? We can't hear you. I don't know if your mic's off.
Vadonai.
Vadonai, yes. Okay. Let's just go through these quickly. See if we can, by unanimous assent, proceed. Shmuel, we already spoke about this one. It's the Shva here. Oops. Okay, so the Shva there, we would expect the 2 to reduce to V. V, Shmuel, but that's not what it does before the Shva. In this case, it turns into U Shmuel. We already talked to, pardon?
The bump rule, correct?
Yes, it's bump Shva. Bump Shva. It's BMP and Shva. This is like Adonai, where it becomes Patach and no vowel there. Vadonai, it's read. This one, the O becomes yes. Vocholi. Vocholi. This is part of bump. It's a B, so this is U. Uvite. Uvite. This is part of bump, so it's U. That's U Melech Yisrael and the King of Israel. U Melech Yisrael. Okay, again we have bump. It's a mem, so U Makom. U Makom. This one is regular, Ve'yom. Ve'yom. And this is a special expression, Yomam Va Laila. Whenever it comes right before an accented syllable, it likes to become A. We see this in the book of Genesis that we are doing for our daily reading, where it has Va Laila. It says, and night. Va Laila kara, Vachoshech kara Laila. Vachoshech, and darkness. All right, next, we're going to start reading. I don't think we need to answer any questions. We're good, right? So far, so good.
Yes.
All right, we're going to begin with the reading on page 82. I've typed it out here and added glosses, so we can read it and have glosses as we go. I think we should take one word at a time. And so you can read it in sequence. We'll go Giovanni, John, Ward, boom, 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 okay? Giovanni, go ahead, read the first word.
Yashav.
Yashav. Second word is John.
Yaakov.
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 Yaakov, okay, and Ward. You got the nice one.
Bikana'an.
Okay, so we see here the word is Kna'an. Kna'an. This is Canaan. Okay. This is the look of it. When it's at the end of a verse, this is called Sof Pasuk. The end of the verse. With Sof Pasuk, oftentimes the stressed syllable will lengthen. So we've got Kna'an. And in this case, also, we lose this dagesh because it comes after Be Kna'an. Be Kna'an. So that Shva becomes E. Bichna'an. Bichna'an. In Canaan. Bichna'an. Okay.
So the Shiva there is silent, so that's big.
Again, it would be medial. It's closing that syllable, but it's also opening the next one. Okay, so it's medial. Next, we lost the gloss for the first verse that we read. So let's read it again and then go into the second one. Yashav Yaakov Bichna'an. Jacob dwelt in Canaan. Okay, so Giovanni, go ahead, next word.
Yosef.
Ve-Yosef.
Yosef.
Ve-Yosef. So ve is and Yosef is Joseph. Ve-Yosef.
Joseph.
Uh-huh. Ve-Yosef. This is really a very simplified version of the text, by the way. The text is much more complicated than this. Like the text of the Bible. But eventually we'll get to undoctored text, unaltered. Okay, John, next.
Ahim.
That's a tough one, huh?
There's a lot of gutturals.
Yeah, ve-ha-achim. Ve-ha-achim. Ve means the, ha means, or ve is and, ha is the, and achim, brothers. Ve-ha-achim. Ve-ha-achim, and the brothers. Okay, so from the beginning, ve-Yosef ve-ha-achim. Ward, the next word.
Shamru.
Shamru. They kept, or they guarded, or they took care of. Shamru. Ve-Yosef ve-achim shamru. Gio, can you tackle the next one? You're getting the big ones.
Et hatson.
Son. Et hatson.
Et hatson.
Et is the direct object marker. That's DDOM, definite direct object marker. And hatson is the flock, or the sheep. Okay? Ve-Yosef ve-ha'achim shamru et hatson. Joseph and his brothers kept the flock. The ha'achim is not really how it's going to be in the Bible. It's going to be a more complicated form. This is simplified, the brothers. Okay, the next word, John?
Yaakov.
Le-Yaakov. Didn't you get Yaakov in the last one?
Yes, I did.
Nice. So Yaakov is Jacob, and Le-Yaakov is for Jacob, or to Jacob. So Joseph and the brothers guarded the flock for Jacob. Okay, Ward?
Vayavo.
Vayavo. Vayavo, it's from the root bo. Bo means come. Vayavo, and he came. Vayavo. Vayavo.
Jason, before we move on, when I was going through this, the word we've just been looking at, the holum, looks like it's almost printed over the aleph rather than the left side of the bet. And is that just unique to this particular book? Or
it's the font. This font does that. It pulls the aleph over. It's not necessary. It does it because of how the word lo. Lo means not. And because that letter lamed, it doesn't want to have the cholam on top of it. So anytime that the cholam comes before the aleph, it pulls it. Because of that one word. It's just how the font works. It's not part of the language.
First time I saw it, I was sort of puzzling over it, and then I eventually figured out what was going on.
Yeah, the aleph here is quiescent. The aleph has no value. So it's Vayavo. Where did we get to? I think we're on Geo.
Yosef.
Yosef. Okay. And I don't think we can give him Yaakov again. So read the next one too, please.
It's El Yaakov.
El Yaakov. Okay. Vayavo Yosef El Yaakov. Joseph came to Jacob. All right, and we are now on John.
Bedavar. Bedavar.
Bedavar, and add the next word to it as well.
Ra.
Ra. Bedavar ra. In a bad word or with a bad report. Joseph came to Jacob with a bad report. And Ward, round us out with the last phrase.
Al-Ha'arim.
Al-Ha'achim.
Al-Ahim.
Al-Ha'achim.
Achim.
This means about the brothers, which would mean his brothers. Okay, good. So we're just going to complete a third verse, and that'll be the extent of our reading, and we'll get into questions. So, starting from the very beginning, I'll read that. Go follow along with me. Yashav Yaakov b'Chna'an v'Yosef v'ha'achim shamru et hatzon leYaakov. Tired. Vayavo Yosef el Yaakov b'davar ra al ha'achim. Okay, so now we're back to Gio for the beginning of the sentence.
The Yaakov.
So it's obviously and Jacob. John, you're next.
Ahav.
Ahav, this was in your vocabulary, which I think, maybe it wasn't. Ahav, he loved.
I don't think it was.
He loved. Okay, and Ward?
Et Yosef.
Et Yosef. Okay, so that's a very clear sentence structure. Yaakov ahav et Yosef. Jacob loved Joseph. Okay, the next word, Gio. Ki. Very small word, very big meaning. Ki can mean because, it can be that, it can be used for several things. It can introduce speech. Yep, it's a nice big word, ki. The next is a name, Rachel. Rachel is Rachel, Rachel. V'Yaakov ahav et Yosef ki Rachel. John?
Yolda.
Yalda. You see the meteg? The meteg
right,
by the...
yes.
Yalda. Yalda means she bore, she gave birth to. Okay. Ki Rachel Yalda. Ward, please.
Et Yosef.
You got that last time, et Yosef.
I did.
Yaakov ahav et Yosef. Ki Rachel Yalda et Yosef. And so Ward, round us out at the end of the verse.
Le Yaakov.
Le Yaakov. Rachel Yalda et Yosef le Yaakov. So Rachel bore Joseph for Jacob. This is the whole text without any glosses. Does someone want to try to read the whole thing? Or maybe the first line? We could do that. The first line, one person, the second line, and then the third line. Who wants to volunteer?
Okay, I'll go.
Okay.
Yeah. Yashav Yaakov b'Chna'an v'Yosef v'ha'achim
What was that? We lost your voice. You there?
Correct.
It's a Meru.
Shameru. Okay. Shameru. Yeah, with the meteg right there.
We tend not to pronounce the vocal shva there, and it's just Shamru. Shamru. But Shameru or Shamru is fine.
Okay.
What did they keep? What did they guard?
Et Hatzon.
Et Hatzon. Great.
Et Hatzon.
Do we understand this et and what its function is?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. It marks a definite noun when it is the direct object of the verb. So if you think about ahav, it could be Jacob loves or Joseph loves, but by marking it with et, we know that this is the object of the verb. Okay? All right, who wants the second line?
I might as well head off. Yaakov, Yabo, Yosef, El Yaakov, Davar, Ra, Al, Ahim.
Beautiful, perfect, no mistakes. Good job. And last but not least,
Yaakov.
Yaakov,
Yaakov, Ahav, et Yosef, ki Rahel, Yalad,
Yalda,
et Yosef, le Yaakov.
Fantastic. Very nice. Look how far we've come. In just a couple of weeks, you read that. That's a large amount of text. Do you have any questions? Because that's really what I wanted to accomplish. And it's been an hour and a half, and I think that it was well used. Very good. Do you have any questions or anything that we could write here on the board to discuss before we go? We covered the definite article. We covered Vav conjunction. We even talked about the name Yud He Vav He and its association with the title Adonai. We talked about quite a bit. We talked about the normal endings for nouns and adjectives. Do any of these things present you with difficulty or question? The next chapter will be looking more into the vocalic patterns of nouns and adjectives. Any questions on this one?
You guys were talking about vocabulary. Where do I see that? I mean,
so you have in your workbook. In the beginning of the workbook, you have exercises. Exercise 1A, 2A, you got different exercises. About a third of the way through, once you're past the exercises, it begins chapter readings. So on page 81 has chapter 4, Joseph is hated by his brothers. And it's an adaptation of Genesis 37, 1 through 17. And at the top of the page, like the whole of the first page, there's a vocabulary list.
Oh, okay.
So you should, we read chapter 4 this week, that you're supposed to have read this, which means memorizing the vocabulary last week. We don't have a reading section in chapter 5, so this will let you get used to reading. You can use the next week for rereading this chapter or reading it again for the first time. And then you should also, next week, not necessarily right now, but you will start to learn the vocabulary for chapter 6 before we get to it. Okay? So you should always aim to learn the vocabulary a chapter before, so that it will make the reading more easy. It will make the reading more accessible. I
got it.
Can I ask one question about the reading a little further on?
Sure.
So in verse 10, there's a passage where it says, basically, Jacob rebukes Joseph. The next phrase, I can't make sense of that. And it's and he said,
Ha Yaakov v'Rachel v'Achim yichreu liYosef. Ha means it's like ara in Greek, where it introduces a question. It's a yes or no question.
Oh, I see that. I missed that. Okay, I'm fine.
So in this case, yichreu is the future, will bow down. So the question would be, will Jacob and Rachel and the brothers bow down to Joseph? Okay? Make sense?
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Well, I missed that.
Yeah, that little ha makes a difference. Notice it looks kind of like the article, but instead of being hey with patach and dagesh, it's hey with chataf patach and no dagesh. It just joins immediately onto the word. And this means, is it so? It's like
And the verb there is future tense then.
Yeah, the verb is future tense. Yichra, yichra'u. They will.
Yikra'u. Okay, got it. Makes sense.
Okay. Good. We were talking about vocabulary. Okay, vocabulary also on the Moodle, on each chapter of the Moodle. You'll notice that in chapter 3, I have a vocab list from Quizlet that I put together. Quizlet. And this is on chapter 3. It says for chapter 4. When it's on chapter 3, it says it's for chapter 4. The vocabulary is taken from chapter 4, but it's posted in chapter 3 for you to start to memorize. Okay? Maybe I can show you that. I can share the screen with you just a second. Okay. Tell me when you're able to see my screen. Can you see?
Yes.
I did, yeah. Yes.
All right, so chapter 3, you'll see here. This is LBH, Learning Biblical Hebrew, chapter 3. And it says, chapter 3 vocabulary. You go into it, and it says in chapter 3, you're assigned to learn the chapter 4 vocabulary on page 81 of the workbook. So you, well, this is the quiz, isn't it? There should be the Quizlet. Hold on. Yeah, right there. Quizlet chapter 4 for chapter 3. Okay, so you go here. It says click here to go to the Quizlet. And then here you have the vocabulary from this chapter, which has, you can flip the cards. See, Achim, Ish, Anashim, and the meanings on the back of the card. Okay? Easy enough?
Yep.
All right. Okay, any other questions before we finish?
Nope, good session.
No.
Yeah, we really accomplished a lot this week. We haven't started really applying the endings to verbs or to nouns, but in the next chapter we're going to really buckle down with it. So if you haven't finished reading all of chapter 4 and translating it, go ahead in the workbook, go ahead and start that as soon as possible. By the way, the word stat, that people say, I need this stat. I found out this word that it's from Latin, it's statum. Statum means immediately. So if you could start learning that statum, it would be great. I sent this presentation to you on Facebook, so if you want to go over it, you can. If you want the presentations from the previous lessons, I have them as well. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, we are finished. And for next week, we're going to be doing chapter 5. Start working on the vocabulary for chapter 6. Cool?
Okay, see you next week.
All right, thanks guys. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you.
להתראות.
Bye, Lito.